It's an annual rite of spring here in Bloomington. Once the snow clears, we have some street maintenance we need to do to make sure that our environment is clean and appealing for our residents. And so today on Verbrugge View, we're going to check out the work that our street sweepers do twice a year to make sure the streets are clean and safe for the residents of Bloomington. Come along. Today we have Chris Nelson, an operator in our Public Works Department. He's going to talk a little bit about why we do the street sweeping. He's going to show us a little bit about the equipment that they use, and then he's going to give me a tutorial so that I can take the street sweeper down the street and hopefully clean up this neighborhood to your satisfaction. So Chris, talk a little bit about the machine here first that we're standing in front of.
Okay, this is an Elgin Pelican. It is about 7 ton. Costs about $170,000. This is the newest one we have, and then we also have a vacuum sweeper, which primarily does the centers.
So this is a pretty complex piece of machinery. Underneath we have several brooms that pick up the material. Talk a little bit about how much maintenance it requires for this.
Okay, yeah, so it has a broom on each side, which we call a gutter broom, which it does what it says, you know, just removes the debris out from the curb line. And then it has a main broom that will spin and flick the debris up into an elevator, which the elevator drops the debris up into the hopper, which is about a 3-yard hopper.
So the hopper's on the front of the equipment where I started out. How many times a day when you're out running for a full day do you have to empty that hopper?
Well, that really depends on how much debris we're collecting. A lot of the main streets don't have the leaves like the residential areas do. If you get into a lot of leaves, you may have to dump once on a street. Otherwise, you may be able to go a couple hours without dumping.
So it's a busy time of year right now. We have a lot of winter remains in the street. So how are the crews running right now and for how long?
We are set up for 4 weeks of 2 8-hour shifts. So one crew works 4 a.m. to noon, and the other one works noon to 8 p.m.
And so at the end of the day, because again, pretty complex machinery, our mechanics are also flexing their hours during this work assignment so that they can make sure the equipment's in good shape, right?
Right, so they're here 2 hours after our sweepers leave, and so they can do any maintenance on the brooms. The gutter brooms will last about 3 days. When they get down to about 6 inches, then they need to be replaced.
So what are you trying to accomplish? Obviously, all the stuff that's here in the curb is headed towards our storm sewer. So why are we doing this?
Well, we want to collect all of this before it gets into our plugs, our storm drains, or gets into those ponds, and then it can contaminate the waters. And it looks nicer too in the spring. I always enjoy, you know, you get done with the sweeping and the street actually looks nice and clean.
How about we go into the cab and learn how to run it?
All right, sounds good.
So once again, what looks from the outside to be a pretty simple piece of equipment, we get inside and we see that it's a lot more complicated than it looks. So Chris, why don't you walk me through some of the mechanics here?
All right, so this is the ignition, the key, and then here this button will control your throttle.
Okay.
This is actually your parking brake. Push is the parking brake's off, you pull it and we won't be able to move. So you have a button for every one of your brooms.
Okay.
And one controls up and down, and then one controls the spinning.
So I have 3 brooms, one on the right and the left side, and then the main sweeper broom in the back, right?
Yes, so here you have the main broom spin, and this will drop your main broom down to start sweeping, and this will have your conveyor rotate to drop the debris into your hopper.
And so driving this thing is a little bit different as well. Why is that?
It is a rear wheel steer.
It is?
Yes.
So when I get to the corner, I have a tight turn. I have to remember that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the cornering is the most challenging part.
Anything else I need to know before we put her in gear and drive?
I think you're ready.
All right, let's take her for a spin. All right, so my brooms are...
You'll have to look down.
Yep, it's moving.
Yep.
Okay, and push down to release, right?
Yes.
All right, we're gonna release the parking brake and we are going to try and clean the curbs. Here we go. Ready? So how close do I want to be getting to the curb?
You want to try and get all the way to the curb.
Okay.
So you can press up against the curb a little bit. You just try not to have the metal plate touch the curb.
Got it. So the odd thing for me with the rear steer is doing exactly what you wanted me not to do, which is going over the curb. This is harder than driving the snowplow.
It is. It's a lot more finicky.
So there I've left a whole bunch undone. So is there a certain size of sediment that won't get picked up?
The really fine sand sometimes won't get picked up, but these sweepers do a really nice job.
Now I'm going very slow, obviously. You're probably a little bit more adept at this than I am. What are you typically running as speed when you're doing this?
We try and run between 5 and 7 miles an hour.
So how fast am I going right now?
You're going 2.
That was said very nicely. You didn't make me feel bad at all about that. So I have a feeling, much as I'm trying to take pride in the work that I'm doing, that you're going to be coming back here to clean up after me a little bit. And I may have to send an apology note to some of these neighbors for picking up a little of the grass on top of their curb.
Well, we do run 3 sweepers, nose to tail, so the first sweeper can't always get all the debris, so that's why you'll see 3 sweepers going down.
So once again, we are learning about some of the work that our folks in the Public Works Department do to make sure that the City of Bloomington is staying an attractive place in the streetscape, but also a healthy environment as we keep material out of our storm sewers, out of our lakes and our streams. And the work that Chris and his colleagues do is really important to make sure that happens. Once again, this has been the Verbrugge View. We'll look forward to seeing you next time.